Hi everyone, I'm Dina with Mills Family Gardening. Welcome back to our channel, and in this video I would like to talk about tomatoes. So this video will have two parts. In the first part I will talk about pruning tomatoes. Is it really necessary to do that? And how to prune them. And in the second part of the video I would like to talk about how to prepare your tomatoes for the fall. So if you would like to jump straight to the second part, you can find it in the description. I will put timestamps there and you will jump to the second part right away. So, is it necessary to prune tomatoes? I would say yes, absolutely yes, and this is why. Today is July 11th and look at all these tomatoes. They are green, they don't have any yellowing leaves, they don't look weak, they're setting new fruit, and they just keep growing. These tomatoes look very healthy, and I planted them at the end of March, so they've been here for 3.5 months, and because I've been pruning them, I believe that is why they're so healthy and green. I've been pruning these tomatoes for the last 2 years, and I can definitely tell that they've been much healthier and much stronger. They've been producing much longer and better than in the first years of my gardening. So let me show you how I trim my tomatoes to ensure healthy growth and production. First of all, I would like to say that I keep 3 stems on my tomato plants, and that is really up to you how many stems you would like to keep. You can have 4 branches or you can have 1 branch. A lot of gardeners have only 1 branch on their tomatoes. But I decided to go with 3. And so what I do, I remove all the bottom leaves from here. You see how my tomato plant doesn't have any leaves at the bottom. It's just bare stems, bare branches. And I only keep the leaves at the top of the tomato plant, as you can see right here. And right now there are about 7 or 8 of the leaves here. And tomato plants, they need to have some leaves in order to grow because their energy and their strength is in the leaves. If you remove all the leaves, the tomato plants will get weak and eventually will die. But as you can see, I don't have any additional branches or stems or new plants coming out of this main stem. It's just one main stem that keeps going, and it has only the side leaves that don't turn into new plants, and it goes like that all the way to the top. And at the top you see that there's the main stem that keeps growing, and eventually it will set flowers and then fruits. And let me show you how to tell the difference between a new branch, or a sucker as some people call them, and the leaf of the tomato plant. So here's a tomato plant that has the main stem. You can see it going all the way up. And then you can see the side leaf 1, the side leaf 2, and then there's some lower side leaves. And then there are some side leaves at the top. But then between the side leaf and the main stem, there's a little new plant, a new branch or sucker that's growing. And if I let it grow longer, then it will get longer and it will start setting flowers and then eventually fruit. So this is a completely new tomato plant that will produce its own tomatoes. So the leaves don't produce any new flowers or tomatoes. They simply stop growing, like this one and this one. You don't see any growth on them. They just stop growing and sit there. So if you would like to keep only this main stem, you can remove the sucker simply by pinching it or using your pruning shears to remove it. I can see that this one is another sucker that I can remove. So now we have the main stem and the side leaf. And let me show you what happens when you let a sucker keep growing. For example, on this plant you see the main stem, there's the main leaf, and there's another main leaf that stopped growing and does not produce anything. And so between the main leaf and the main stem, you can see there's a sucker. There's a completely new tomato plant or branch that's growing. And you can see that it's actually starting to set flowers, and then those flowers eventually will bear tomato fruit. And I don't need that sucker there, so I'm just going to go ahead and prune it. just like that. And I also see that there is another sucker right here. See the main leaf, and then the main stem is going up, and then there is a new tomato plant that's growing, and I don't need it, so I'm gonna remove it. And just like here also, you can see there's a little mess here actually, because I haven't pruned my tomatoes in a while, but there is the main stem, and then there's a completely brand new tomato plant that's growing. So this one is having flowers, and then this tomato plant is about to have flowers and then bear fruit. So I'm going to remove this sucker right here. And if you still have doubts about what is a sucker and what's the main stem, just let them grow longer, and eventually you will see that the sucker will start producing flowers and setting fruit, hopefully, and that's how you will know what is a sucker and what is a main stem. But maybe at that point you will want to keep the sucker because it's already producing fruit. But the main thing is to prune the bottom leaves, because that's what will keep your tomato plants healthy. And if you decide not to prune your tomato plants and leave all the lower leaves on the tomatoes, then eventually you will see that the lower leaves will start getting yellow and they will dry up. So what happens is when you water your tomato plants or when it rains, the water splashes from the ground onto the leaves, lower leaves, and that's when they get diseases, and eventually the whole tomato plants gets weak and dries up. So I highly recommend that you prune your lower leaves, because that will ensure the health and production of your tomato plants. And here's the second part of the video, how to prepare your tomatoes for the fall. If you live in a warm climate like we do, we live in North Texas, Zone 8A, you know that in July and August, tomatoes do not produce anything. They bloom, they look healthy and happy, but they don't set any fruit. This is the last set of fruit that they produced. It was a couple of weeks ago when we had a cool spell. But now you see that here there's a cluster of flowers that didn't make anything. And then there was another cluster of flowers here that did not produce any tomatoes. And they simply fell off. So I'm not going to let this tomato keep growing, and I'm simply going to trim it right above this cluster of fruit. Probably right about here. I'm going to trim this whole stem like that, and there it goes. So now the energy is going to go into the ripening of this fruit that we have here. And also, I would like to have more tomatoes in the fall. And for that, as you can see, I actually left a few suckers. One right here on this branch, and then I have one right there, and then a couple of them there. So, and I also have one here, I didn't notice that. So in cases like this, you can leave your bottom suckers, and eventually they will keep growing and they will become your new tomato plants that will produce tomatoes in the fall. When you water your tomato, make sure that you don't splash water. Water it carefully, and also it would be a good idea to mulch. I actually need to mulch here so that the soil would not get on the seedlings or on the suckers. And that way you don't need to start new tomato seeds for fall production, which makes your job easier. Just make sure you keep your new suckers healthy and strong by removing the bottom leaves and making sure that you water them carefully, that the water does not splash on the leaves too much. And also make sure to mulch around your tomato plants. I hope this video was helpful. We would really appreciate it if you could like it and subscribe to our channel. It would help grow our channel. And have a great day, and I hope your tomatoes produce well and abundantly. Bye!